auction, yeah.
Subasta por la Paz. What was it? What happened? Who was there?
Yeah, we got invited to an auction, kind of last minute, and it's in a region in Colombia called Bolivar, and it's unique because like this region is kind of dangerous, and therefore like a lot of people aren't allowed to go in that region. Even Colombian people who aren't from there like kind of have a difficult time going in there, and definitely like no foreigners have ever been there. So pretty significant. There's a lot of people are producing coffee in this region, but no one has really ever tasted their coffee. It's never really left that region before because no one can come in. So interesting story. In Colombia, there's two cartels. They're called carrerías, and they basically have like home bases, and it's the town of Bolivar is not a home base for the cartel, but near it is one of the bases, and that's why it's dangerous. This whole project, we were told was like a middleman had to broker a deal in between the cartel and the government to be able to like stop fighting, stop shooting, so that this event could happen. So really wild story. Diego Bermudez is one of he's a good friend, but he's also one of our favorite producers. He also happens to be from this small town, in Bolivar. So it was like a super special project for us. We really didn't have a lot of context, before we went, which was kind of fun. But we showed up, and I think what's really interesting, Subasta por la Paz, it means auction for the peace. And the whole event was put on mainly because this region, like all the coffee farmers there, they're struggling to make money. It's very common for a lot of coffee farmers that are smaller. They're also producing coca, which isn't bad. It's like a healthy plant, but its most common use, right, is like it gets bought, and like other people are like adding chemicals and making cocaine. Shockingly enough, the whole like fentanyl crisis and everything is causing, I guess, less cocaine consumption, and it's like these producers in Bolivar, like they have no connection to the cartel or anything, but they're getting the cartel they're their workforce, so they kind of force them to make this, and then they're getting squeezed out by these middlemen who buy it from them, and somehow it ends up in the cartel, but they're struggling to make money. So coffee is like a path forward, and that's kind of how the deal got structured to stop firing, because these producers need to make money. So the whole event was wild. Like, it's not just to make this region like open and known to coffee roasters and importers, exporters. It was also to kind of reframe what success looks like if you're like a kid growing up in this town. Diego, when we were there and doing the interview, he talked about growing up, as a kid, you see like your parents maybe like just working your ass off, like farming, lots of hard labor, not making a lot of money. And your idea of like what success is, the only like picture of that was like drug dealers. Like that's what Diego said. They're the teenagers with the bikes and the money, and they can throw parties and buy alcohol for their friends and that kind of thing. And he was saying, growing up in a town like this, there's really not another model that looks successful. So the whole event was really to show them like there's another way, and the specialty coffee market like is a path forward to be successful. So they shut the whole town down and hosted this event. And it's not just that these coffees are like being auctioned off for a lot of money. It was to kind of change the culture and the thought process of the people in the town, the kids growing up. So there's another model. So super impactful event. Yeah, I'm anxious to hear both of your guys' experience. I know it was your first time at Origin, your first time at Origin. For context, you came in with me a little earlier because we had to cup 600 coffees. And I'm just, interested to hear, what was your experience like, first Origin trip?
It was interesting. I didn't really know what to expect. I knew we were going to this auction. I thought it'd be pretty chill. Wasn't. It was unchill in a fun way, but wasn't like just people sitting around a circle, bidding on coffees, and that's it. I mean, the whole town was there cheering us on. So that's shocking, but also meeting Diego and Mateus, who heard their names for a long time, but haven't really met them. Was interesting, and you hear things about people, and you're like, okay, these are probably cool people. I'll probably get along, and then you realize they're homies, friends, people that you're just joking around with, kind of you've known them for a long time, and they just kind of invite you into that friendship, and so that was crazy. And Diego's this name that we've heard, you've known him for a while, but we've heard forever, and he's this almost famous person, at least in the coffee world. He's famous, and so then you're what's it like? When people are don't meet your idols, and he's one of our coffee idols, but then you meet him, and he's just your friend. So that was fun and really cool. And going to the auction and starting with cupping the coffees was fun. A lot more. What's the word? I don't want to say intense, but it was just it took a lot of time and effort to cup that many coffees, and I think we went into it not knowing what to expect and feeling a little underprepared for it. Just not used to cupping that many coffees with that many people. It was cool learning experience, and I think I would be happy to do it again. But I wasn't necessarily expecting it to be as intense as it was. But got to meet really cool people, the Proud Marys people, the Intelligentsia, a bunch of people from some shops that I haven't heard of before. I don't know. I think most of it was just unexpected and very. I don't know what the word is. I guess it was fun, a lot of fun. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe. It's not really an experience that most people have had, especially going to a region where definitely no Americans go and Colombians don't go. So I think overall it's just I wouldn't say life-changing, but very significant moments happened with the auction and the people we met and the whole town being there. Even there's the one day we had the underground cupping per se, where we're going to Diego's friend's shop, just grocery store, and cupping with a bunch of producers from the auction. And it's not we weren't supposed to do that, but it wasn't planned. It was just kind of last minute. He got a bunch of producer friends to come, a bunch of people from the auction to come with us, and we're just doing this secret cupping.
That was cool.
That is just crazy, what?
Yeah.
You don't really plan stuff like that. It just happens. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think overall it's just fun and crazy and unexpected, but all good. I don't even think I have a single negative experience aside from needing water all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
They do not drink water.
No, they don't. It's Coke or juice.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
I drink so much.
It is crazy.
More juice than I've ever had in my whole life.
Yeah. No AC and just walking up massive hills, drinking. I mean, we cupped, for context, all of the roasters that showed up to taste all the coffees. There were 600 coffees submitted by producers. We had to narrow it down to 30 to be auctioned off. So we had 3 days of cupping 8 hours a day. It was brutal. It was brutal. Really fun.
Probably the most coffee I've ever drank out.
Yeah, power
in
fatigue.
1 day, each day.
For sure. And long nights too.
Yeah,
long
very
nights.
long nights.
Yes. Really interesting. That was that was fascinating. Curious, Devin, what your
Yeah.
thoughts are. I know your experience was a little different. You didn't join us at the start
Right.
for the cupping, but you like showed up as the auction was already started.
Yeah, so me and your dad flew out a couple days later, 3 days later.
Yeah.
And that was after you guys cupped everything, narrowed it down to 30. Actually, we showed up, I don't know. How long had the auction been going on before we showed up?
I
10
think,
minutes?
yeah, I
No,
think,
no. It was like
Longer?
about an hour.
no,
Okay.
at least.
It
at
had been
least.
a while.
Okay.
It was going on for a bit. It was going on.
So auction's been going on for like an hour. You know, I feel like there were so many copies that I saw get auctioned off. So I feel like it was just
Yeah.
a super long event. But we pulled up. This is after traveling, like a whole day of traveling, not really sleeping. We get to the airport. We get picked up by friends of Diego, and they drove us. It's like 5 hours or something to this mountain town, Bolivar. And then we get out, and the whole, all of like the storefronts and things are like closed, like gated off. Like the schools are closed, everything's closed, and there are all these people just all over the streets. And then we pull up in the middle of this road. The people that drove us are like, "All right, we're here. Like, hop out." And Mateus meets us, grabs all our stuff, takes us to the hotel, and is like, "Just go down there. You'll see the group of people." So we go down to the city square area. There's this big tent. And like a sea of people, like, I don't know, 2,000 plus, maybe more.
A lot of
Everybody in the town,
the whole time.
every business, every school, everything's closed. Everybody's there. And they're like, yeah, just go ahead and go through, like, cut through this group of people,
Thousands
and
of
you
people.
guys have some seats like in the front. So like the bidders are in the middle. Green buyers and everything, and there's a stage, and the producers are kind of going up, and when their copies are being auctioned, and it was insane, super stimulating. Like we didn't know what to expect, but it was not that. Also unexpected, like you were saying.
And
But,
didn't you, so you didn't know who picked you up,
yeah,
and you nor my dad speak Spanish.
no, yeah, barely.
So
Barely.
Talk to me about
So-
that drive.
The drive was actually really fun. I'm forgetting their names right now, but they were just really kind and like
Yeah.
I was like using Google Translate to try and like talk with them, and it was there was like a woman and who was in the front seat, and she was mostly talking to us, and then her son was driving us, but she was like reading my Google Translate and like using it back, and like we were just kind of missing each other, and at some point she's said into the translator, like, "You're never gonna learn Spanish this way, like put the translator away," basically. I was like, okay, so put the translator away, and we're just kind of talking, trying to communicate, and like she's teaching me some Spanish, and like Tracy and I are just in the back laughing, like trying to figure it out. But they were just good people, and they had like some fruit. They're like, "Have you ever tried this before?" And they like cut open
That's
some
super
fruit and like gave us fruit. We saw on the drive like just a lot of different things. Like we drove through Popayan is when I guess where we left from.
Yeah.
Pulled up to their house, picked up everything that they needed. We're in this tiny little cars, like packed up everything, and then you're driving through like the more rural areas. Asking a bunch of questions. There's trucks with like people on top.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was like Venezuelans who had
Yeah.
been like basically escaping Venezuela and like hiding in Colombia, and they were telling us about that whole dynamic, like geopolitical things of the region, which is crazy. But I think like that was probably, it was the first time that we were like really hosted by people there and experienced that culture of just like them just loving us and teaching us, you know, inviting us into their like a day in a life kind of thing, and that was really special. So I'm grateful for that.
Sights and sounds of driving on the roads of Colombia are crazy.
Yes.
I know this didn't happen on this trip, but when we traveled previously to go to the Hachi Colombia farm in Tambo, I think the wildest thing I saw was on a motorbike. I got two.
Yeah.
On a motorbike, a guy with like a butchered pig, like straddling him on the front, dead pig. That was one, and
Yeah,
then the
that's
second was like I don't remember the dimensions, but like a massive piece of lumber, probably like at least 20 feet. He's like one guy on a bike.
It's like bowed.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, but the first time, a little off topic, but the first time I had traveled to Colombia, like, man, it's just the roads are insane. I feel like
no rules.
Yeah, there's some other countries too that are a lot like this. There are no rules. Man, also the pedestrians, man. There's just like elderly people like in the road,
Yeah.
on the highway.
Yeah.
And it's just like, get out of the way.
They're just
Like,
going
yeah.
around
And
them.
like there's you have to pass people. We have massive like buses
Yeah.
like zooming around while other buses, it's crazy.
Yeah. Especially once you get kind of toward Bolivar where you're in the mountains and it's like
There's
Oh
even
my
less
winding. And there's a bus and you got to go around the bus or the bus is going around you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It
It's
was-
crazy.
we should go back a little bit to going to the trip. What did you think going into the trip?
Oh,
like,
shit.
we knew the auction was happening,
Yeah.
but we didn't know what it was going to be like. So what was it like going into it, and then like maybe the first few days cupping and stuff? What was it like the
Yeah.
nights? What did we do?
There's a bunch of events too. They took you guys
Yeah,
to
They
the
did,
farm.
they did.
They were long days. So
Yeah, like I mean I feel like I've been to Popayan a few times, so I maybe had like a better expectation. I want to hear your thoughts on that question, but the like doing the whole cupping event and all, like, that was insane, and I just had never really been a part of something like that, and I didn't know who was going to be there too. It's cool seeing friends from different roasteries and stuff. I mean, massively long, tiring. You start early in the morning, lots of coffee, like you said. You like, there's nowhere to get water. Like, you're just thirsty all the time, and then
There's water and coffee.
Yeah, there is. We were massively hydrated by small amounts of water in the coffee. Yeah, but they had a couple of night events, like where we visit a producer. That was like really special. Climbed up a massive hill.
farm. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like eating cherries off a tree, like, it's a special experience. Like, and we had a barbecue. I think that was like a standout moment for me.
I forgot about
They had us go to this producer's like ranch basically, and they had a barbecue planned for us, and exactly what you're picturing, just like ranch, in Latin America.
a couple houses on a bunch of
Yeah, just middle of nowhere, there's like this area with cobblestone on it, and I don't know how to say it, just like a small wooden, like, kind of saloon looking structure with a DJ, like the most out of place thing you've ever seen. It's nighttime. We're walking up. We've just cupped for like 8 hours.
They had like flashing lights.
They had
a
like
DJ
strobe
set.
lights. It was the most like oxymoron.
Yeah.
It was just like a
yeah.
wild thing to put side by side.
Yeah.
Like, where am I? Like, this is.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna forget this moment. And the guy was just, doing his thing, and no one was dancing.
I mean, there's like 25 of us, 30 of us, on this land with a DJ, but it's quiet, and like that's been like a 12-hour day at this point. So we get there and like,
and there's no option not to go.
Yeah, we had to go.
I mean, I'm glad.
And everybody was just hungry, so like we're waiting for the food to be made, which it was good food.
It was good.
But then there's just like a DJ to the side, basically, that like almost nobody's paying attention to.
At one point, I remember like there was some sort of power outage or something, and all the music just dropped, and the look on the DJ's face, like just utter shame, like the worst possible scenario if you're a DJ.
Yeah.
Anyways, that night was like, there's just certain moments. I don't know if you guys have had other moments like this in life, but I was just like, I will never forget this feeling. Like, I think it was the first time I've ever been in a scenario like that. I was like, this is gonna be thing. We're looking out over some land, not on a cliff, but on the side of like a small cliff or a hill, and just like really good people.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I forget the name of the spirit they were
I don't know.
It was something made from. It tasted like licorice.
Yeah.
But it was
I've
like
never had
a
anything
Colombian
like
spirit.
Yeah.
It was similar to like cachaça in Brazil, but I think made with it was a cane sugar.
Something like
Something
that. I don't know. It's something that we definitely don't have here.
Yeah.
I remember they were bringing that around at the
Oh
auction.
man,
Yeah,
They, like,
were.
brought a sample by, and I was like,
everybody
whoa.
to drink. Yeah.
That they wanted us to drink
Yeah.
so much.
Dude, and it tasted was you thought it was water.
You thought it was water.
Yeah,
So-
knocked it.
It was so funny.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, Mateus.
That night with the DJ was crazy. I don't know if it was that night or a different night. One of the really long days, we got out of the car with Mateus, and I was trying to be funny. And I'm like, I don't know Spanish, just messing around. I'm like, I'm going to say, you're the big dog in Spanish. Like, that's a funny thing to say. I mean, like, it's not funny, but it's like, humorous at the least. And so you're like, you get out of the car, Mateus is right behind us, who knows Spanish. And I'm like, Luke, tú es mucho perro. I really went hard. I was like, you're the big dog. And then Mateus is like, you're very doggy?
You are very doggy?
And at that moment, I knew. I just was like, I'm so.
That was hilarious.
The thing is like, I know Spanish enough to know that I said that, but I wasn't thinking hard enough to say the right thing. And so it's just like a dumb thing. And now
Dude,
that's
you
like,
crushed that.
I think that is like, it's not the most iconic moment for me of that trip,
It's a good
but
memory,
it's
though.
very memorable. And we still it's just like
It's the new
inside
phrase.
joke
We still
now.
say
Tú
it.
es mucho.
Tú es
For the
mucho
rest of the
perro.
trip,
Yeah.
anytime someone did something like
You're very
embarrassing,
doggy. You're very doggy.
you were very
Yeah,
doggy,
so
bro.
Yeah, context. I was thinking about this earlier because I don't know. There's things we'll kind of circle back around to the auction, but going to Colombia, like the first time, like I knew some things about Diego, but where are his farms, where's El Paraíso, where's Hachi, like where he lives, everything is super spread out. Like a lot of times, like you're visiting a producer and you're just going to one place, like, but in Colombia, at least for him, it is not like that, So like we're flying into Popayan, and he lives there, and probably about 20 minutes north is Pindamo, which is this is where our roastery was before we just moved to Medellin a couple months ago, and this is where Finca El Paraíso is. But then he has like 4 to 5 other farms that are kind of dispersed around
All
the area.
around.
So a lot of driving, like that's kind of a crazy thing I didn't realize. Like literally, he must drive like 3 to 4 hours a day. Like
wow.
it takes so long to go such a short distance in Colombia. Just a part of life there. And then Bolivar, where we were, was like 4 to 5 hours, if I remember, north, kind of west from Popayan. So that's just interesting. Like so much driving.
Yeah.
I remember being on the bus.
Dude,
That
the
bus was super
so
hot.
tough.
I mean, we were
Oh
told
my God.
this is something relative to your question, like what did we expect going into this? We were told like we would have the military like escort us into Bolivar.
Yeah, like security.
And, yeah, like I mean, I didn't know if we would like be picked up at the airport by like an armored car or
Yeah.
something like that. I was kind of expecting something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
No clue. But yeah, we just got in like a massive bus. but on the way there, like you are looking out the window and there's like
Tanks and
Yeah, like,
Humvees.
guys with snipers, like crazy. That was crazy, and it was safe. Like the whole time, I felt super safe. But it was,
Yeah.
intense.
On that bus, I was less worried about the military.
Yeah.
I was just trying to make it through. It was so hot.
It was
like
hot.
you talk about your trip, and it's so different than ours.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're having fun translating with these people, like talking about stuff.
We're
We're
vibing,
like,
dude.
there's like 20 of us in this bus. I'm like really hot.
I ran
and
hot
I
too,
do.
and we were sitting.
Yeah,
next to
yeah. This dude made it
It's like
at
a
least
furnace.
5 degrees hotter. At least,
Yeah.
dude.
And there's
and-
no windows, right?
There are windows,
Okay.
and thankfully I can
Hard.
open mine. Yeah,
The
yeah.
sun
It's,
was
it's
right
like a
at the
typical bus, where you can open like partially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did have like a sunroof
Like
right
a
above
hatch.
us. That was a hatch, and it was open straight on our seats. And I don't get motion sick. Never have, and I hope to never again. But on that bus, the first 2 hours were like okay, but then once you get close to Bolivar, it's like mountains. So you're like side to side. and It's
Yeah.
hot. Probably like 80 something in the bus, if I had to guess. And I'm sweaty, and I like don't think I'm gonna make it. Like I thought I was gonna throw up. I'm like,
I was like championing.
It was-
you can
do it.
Hold it in.
So it was.
Also-
I'm like staring out the window, like with the fresh air coming in. It was like the only way I could like not feel like I was gonna throw up. But then I'd like need to say something with Luke, so like I turned aside and started talking, and I'm like deep breaths, like getting through a sentence just to like look back out the window.
Yeah.
They did have water on the bus, water bottles, which
They did.
that
That's
was
cool.
genuinely saved me probably.
Yeah. That was intense.
And like we said, that bus is like flying. Like it's
Yeah,
going
yeah, it's
fast.
going
It's swerving
fast.
around people. It's going around these like little mountains and through these little towns.
Yeah.
In context, just everyone knows Diego, of course, and he's a part of the Hachi project, founded Finca El Paraíso with his brother Alex, but has kind of passed the torch to Alex and is now doing Hachi. Mateus, this guy we keep talking about, is one of the co-owners, the founders of Hachi, and he's from Brazil. Love that dude. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met, honestly. But he is like super smart. And is the kind of brain power. You would say brainchild. No. So, I'll say it this way. Some of the new process methods coming out of Hachi are like his brainchild.
Yeah.
So he is super smart, does a lot of stuff for the Hachi Panama project with the Hartmans. But just want to give context for who he is. We spent this whole time mainly with him, and then Diego would join us intermittently, definitely at the auction in Bolivar. But I still don't know how to like describe this to people listening. Your experience with my dad showing up like mid auction.
Oh yeah.
For us, we cupped in Popayan, just 5 hours away from where the auction was, for 3 days. Did all these events, drove into Bolivar, and we spent the night, 3 nights.
In
Bolivar?
Bolivar, 3 nights.
3 nights. So like we kind of had our bearings like.
You were like accustomed
Yeah,
to the area
yeah.
and,
But like you flew in, got picked up by strangers who don't speak your language.
Yeah.
Kind strangers.
Yeah.
And show up literally with thousands of people like hopping out of the car with your bags, like.
Yeah. It was crazy. Definitely overstimulating. But like you guys have had being there, received a little bit more context for what's going on, the people there, everything.
Yeah.
I knew that the auction was happening, but like we were going to Colombia already before like the auction. So I'm not thinking like the auction is going to be like this huge thing, and it was. And it ended up being like one of the main like things of the trip. Like we're still, moved by the auction. But being there, seeing producers and producers' families rally around producers.
Yeah.
Seeing people in the town that know, like these are like their aunts and uncles or their moms and dads or their it's like family. It's small enough where I feel like most people know most people. Some of the producers in the auction weren't from there, but a lot of them were, and at least have connections. So being there, there's like the stage and there's the people on the stage, and Bon Export is like hosting and shouting, and like they're like starting chants like this coffee's worth more than that.
Was hilarious.
This coffee's worth more than that, and everyone's going nuts. The crowd, there's thousands of people, and they have like horns. I don't know what the proper names are, but like plastic horns, noise makers.
Those horns. The thing that it honestly sounded like was the South Africa World Cup. Whatever those horns, like that was the vibe. Everyone was.
It was like
They were nonstop.
Yes.
There was not
For
like a second of the
6,
time where you
7
weren't
hours,
hearing
like-
one of those. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're under a tent. All of the sound from the people is like going up, like people shouting, chanting, applauding when a coffee gets bought, and then you have like all of the noisemakers and stuff. There's also the stage and a whole PA system.
Mm-hmm.
So
Massive screen.
and it's cranked.
Yeah.
Everything is loud. It's so loud in there. All that's happening. Obvious that's like where my attention is, but I got to see like a few people like on the sidelines. Like there was the stage and there was an LED screen, and like underneath it there's people like leaning on the stage and watching, usually like I think like older people or maybe other farmers or something, but they're watching these coffees be sold at like way more than what they would expect without the auction. So like what on average per pound, how much would these coffees have gone for? Like $4?
Yeah, of all of them averaged.
I mean, ballpark.
Yeah,
like what are
that's
they
like
expecting?
the ones closer to like 30th place
Mm-hmm.
versus first were probably going for like, 7 to 14.
Yeah.
Would you say that's about right?
Yeah, something like that.
And then but it, infinitely went up as
Yeah.
you got closer to the top.
So like the top coffee sold for $141 a pound.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I think what they said, Mateus said something under 10, let's say under
Yeah,
$10 a pound. That's like an insane difference.
Mm,
So you
yeah.
have all these people, like you're saying, that are used to like the pressures of being a farmer, like
Mm.
the cartel, like, I don't want to say cartel involved. They're not like doing bad things, but
Mhm.
participating in that like economy is the way to like provide for your family.
Make money. Yeah.
And it's not even like, oh, I work for the cartel. It's like selling to a middleman that you kind of know is selling to the cartel or whatever. But it's like the children there that don't have role models because they don't want to be farmers because they,
Yeah.
their parents work super hard and make not that much,
Mm.
or they're, it's a whole thing. The return on being a farmer is less in the perspective of the
Infinitely.
people there, and the return on producing coca is more in some cases.
It's really interesting. I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you finish your thought?
I was just gonna say, like, them seeing coffees being sold at that rate
Yeah, insane.
is like you said, it's a new path. But I enjoyed being there, watching. Like, I wasn't really placing bids or
Yeah.
anything. I'm just like participating and watching. Spectating is a word, but watching these families of producers like see the new path. It felt like hopeful. Like, people in the town
It
are
did.
gathering not because they want to
Oh.
like see people buy coffee. They don't care that much about the coffee, but it's like an event that's like, their families are like making money for the first time, or like they see like
Yeah.
it's an opportunity. It's hope.
It was emotional.
Yes.
It was like you could. I don't know if you guys felt this way, but it's a hard thing to describe. I've never really been in an environment like that.
Mm.
But yeah, like the whole town is closed to be there, and like you have producers and their family members like up on stage. It was funny and like touching, just like all of the emotions. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned what they were chanting like in Spanish. I need to learn that phrase, but we didn't know what they were saying, and every time,
Yeah.
literally every time they would bring the producer up on the stage, like put all the information about the coffee on the screen, and then people would start bidding. So like you're bidding on the coffees, looking at the producers,
Mhm.
and they're right in front of you, like 10 feet away. We were on the second row, I think, and that was an interesting experience. Like they're like, and they're chanting, "This coffee's worth more,"
Yeah.
looking at you,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that was so funny.
There
man.
was a couple times too. The girl who was like mainly hosting,
Yeah.
she
Yes.
would call people out by
Yeah,
name.
you.
There was one guy like right behind us that I can't remember his name.
Was it like John or something?
Some normal.
Where was he from?
I don't remember. I can't
Okay,
remember.
okay.
He was Polish. It was the Polish guy.
Oh,
But
yes,
I don't
yes,
remember
yes.
his name. But that guy specifically, they just kept calling his name.
They were hounding him. Yeah.
Every time he'd bid a coffee, and I felt so
His
bad.
name
I was
wasn't
like,
John, but she'd be like, John,
Yeah.
Jonathan,
John,
you want to
come on."
bid? Like that.
You
kind
know
of-
it's worth more,
Yes.
John.
It's crazy.
I did not
So
expect
funny.
that, honestly. But the environment there, that was hilarious. And they're bringing around like
Yeah.
alcohol
Yeah,
drinks,
yeah.
everybody. But it
like-
just also felt.
I mean, it being emotional. Like
Oh, yeah.
especially the top like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
Some of them, like these people live on what, $300 a year, something like that, some crazy amount that's
Yeah.
like mind blowing to us. But like those top 15, especially, you're like, those coffees are getting them years worth of salary.
Yeah.
So it's like changing their lives in front of us, and we're just like bidding on it, not really like with that thought in mind, but you're like watching it happen, which is like a pretty crazy experience to see somebody. Like, I can't imagine being
Yeah.
at some event and like people are paying a bunch of money, and I get to see my salary like 3x just in one
Insane.
moment. I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't believe that.
I mean, I think I remember Mateus saying this. The stat you mentioned, I think it was $200 a month.
Oh yes,
I think it was $200 a month, maybe a little bit less than that. But just like it was absolutely insanity. Like Jorgelina, the first place coffee, like she ended up getting paid like 2 years' salary, and it was a small lot. Like, and still like that's like just scratching the like larger impact that it's causing for this region, both like changing the way people think there and kids like know what a huge problem right now is really like producers' children. They don't want to be coffee farmers, because they just like see their parents struggle and do hard labor, and they're I don't want to do that,
Yeah.
So I mean, this is happening like at other origins too, other countries. So showing like an event that's like kind of sexy and like there's a lot of money that's being made, and like especially in this region where like no one has ever even I don't even think this dawned on me until maybe a month or two ago, just because we just get busy and stuff. But like these coffees, no one has ever tasted from this region. Like they've never left.
Yeah.
Even we're talking about
That's
other parts of Colombia, like they haven't even been tasted in other regions of Colombia, much less the rest of the world, And getting to be there, like we had people from Poland, three from the U.S., Australia, Korea, and walking into this town and then being like, you're the first foreigners to ever like be in this town.
Yeah.
Like, that's a crazy thing.
I mean, so it's so rare. I mean, it doesn't happen. Like before the auction started, me and you are standing like at our table, like talking to people, whatever, and these school kids, because I closed school, there are kids coming up like to interview. Like Luke did an interview,
autographs,
some
pictures,
autographs, and we'll do it to be nice, whatever. But like I'm sitting there thinking, these kids have no idea that like we are just like
normal
regular,
people,
average person.
We're not.
Yeah. But like that's crazy.
It was that was a crazy experience, and I think I want to just kind of circle back to something you said earlier. Like, I think it's hard, being in America, like having context. If you've traveled some, especially to Latin American countries or certain Latin American countries, just like having context for what is normal there is crazy, especially like Colombia's been in a civil war for like almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
Like, and just like casually, and the people in the country, they still have to live their life, but what's normal for them is like so different, like you talked about the whole cartel, and forget Bolivar for a second. Even in Popayan, where Diego spent most of his life and like where his house was at the time, like everybody has to pay dues to the cartel, for protection, and that's like not a sketchy thing. That's like a normal thing, which is just it's crazy that that's a normal life. So everyone has to kind of adjust to this. Mm-hmm. So you come in from the United States or just from somewhere else and are shocked by like normalcy for them. And in Bolivar, like there's not a lot of opportunity, like different career paths, right? Most people are farmers. You have people who are also like making goods and selling them in the town, so everybody can live. Like it's a pretty small place. So yeah, just interesting, trying to contextualize that, and even we can like sidestep for a second. Like I don't know if a lot of people like kind of understand what's going on in the southern state of Cauca in Colombia right now. Like there's a civil war, but basically for a long time, the two guerrillas, the cartels, they've kind of like stayed in their own zones, but they are like trying to take over territory, which is causing a lot of fighting, bombs going off. Last year, this started escalating, and it's like really shifted, a lot of what life looks like in Popayan and in all of Cauca, which is where all of Diego's farms are. there's a lot of coffee producers that are in the northern part of Colombia, which is like there's more government presence there. Colombia is like, they're I don't want to give the wrong like picture of Colombia. It's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, and the people are like so warm. But certain parts of Cauca, just like any place, you don't go to certain parts, and the place we went to is like the place that you don't go to, which is crazy. But yeah, this is like happening in Colombia right now, and like it's hard to drive. Like the cartel's shutting down the road at certain times of the night. You can't travel. Like it's an interesting world to navigate as a coffee farmer, which is I think it's just worth like bringing up because a lot of people don't even know about that, and imagining that like in my day-to-day life, like it's so distant.
Yeah, especially in like Dallas, there are like maybe parts of the U.S. where not as bad, but like there's like gangs and stuff that are like fighting each other. But especially here in Dallas, like you got to go to a very specific place to like get any kind of like real danger like that, and it's not even similar to that. So, but before we get to the auction, when we go back to the auction and like coffees that we buy, how we ended up buying them, I think we should contextualize like more of the city and like the hotel we stayed at.
Oh my gosh.
The hotel says a lot about, I think, the city and like just not like how developed the city is as a whole. Because we get to our room, me and you show up first. We have our room, and
one of the best memories of the trip.
Yeah, we walk into the room, and 2 beds like normal. You walk in, and then you turn to the right, and to the right of the bed is the shower, just like glass tub, glass. The shower's just right there. No curtain,
toilet.
No toilet
in the room.
Yeah, no toilet in the room. Every other room had a toilet, but not ours.
Just a shower.
Just the shower.
Like literally,
there's
probably 2-3 inches.
Yeah. No bathroom area. No door.
Yeah. Just like bed,
shower.
A few inches, shower.
We got the honeymoon suite.
We got the honeymoon suite for sure. We did luck out with like the balcony. Like that
was beautiful.
Nobody else really got that. There's a few rooms that had it, but like ours was top floor, and like you could see the whole city. Beautiful. And the mountains and stuff. And then by the time you guys got there, your dad, Devin ended up coming in my room. You used to go in your dad's room, and there's a shower and a toilet in that room. But the shower is like no shower head, a beam of water just like blasting you in the face.
And they don't. And this is something that people don't know. Colombians like cold showers, so most places don't actually have hot water.
Yeah, no hot water. Our hotel in Popayan had hot water, but not the Bolivar hotel. It was cold. And then, like 2 nights in, the shower in our room stopped working.
Love that.
Yeah.
Like the water pressure was just gone, so then we had to use your shower. And it's just like, it just gives context to like, this hotel is like not that developed. It's enough to stay in and it's like fine, but you're not like excited to take a shower in that room. You're just like, I got to get through the shower. You're like bracing for the cold water. And then we're like going to this auction. So,
and the auction was like literally outside of the hotel, like on our balcony. Is like the whole auction is like right there. There's like massive speakers
from the front door. You could throw a rock and hit the auction.
Yeah, and like all the sights and sounds, like all night long. People are like playing loud music. It's just part of the vibe. And you got chickens and wolves howling. Just. That was like low-key one of the biggest memories I have is before the auction that night, you and I just chatting on the balcony and like the mountains in the distance. Like there's just these wild moments like, how did I get here? Like how is this? And I just a sidestep, like, man, I feel like this is more about traveling than anything, but I haven't really traveled that many places out of country until I got into coffee. And I don't know, just like the world opens up. I feel like you meet people in America that like get that and they don't. Like, and there's just, I want to chase those like moments, where how did I get here? Like this is, whether you're just in a beautiful place or like surrounded by like really beautiful people. And that was a huge moment for me, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I mean, I think anybody who has traveled, like, you've either been to those like second world, third world places, or you haven't.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I mean, there's not really a reason to go unless you're going for something like that, or like, mission trips or whatever, like something like that. There's no other reason why you're going to go to like Colombia in this like weird place, or like, I've been to Uganda for some mission trip, and it's like there's no reason to go to those places unless you have like a very specific job or like thing to do there. And so there's very few people I think you meet in the world that have that feel similarly about those places to you, because it's just like rare. Like, why would you go to Bolivar, Colombia? You like wouldn't.
You wouldn't even. You couldn't, honestly.
You wouldn't even know it
couldn't.
exists.
You couldn't.
Yeah, and you wouldn't know it exists really. Like, I knew of it, but I didn't really like know it existed until I'm like going there on a trip, and like it's not something you expect to do. Even like getting into coffee, when I started, I was just trying to get a summer job, like to make money.
Yeah.
And then you're like a few years later, I'm like on this crazy trip. So
That was a defining moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next day is the auction.
Yeah.
We go. Diego had been around at the auction, but the day before, he was like, he has these machines with this company, Paradise Horse, and they're like serving coffee for free to all the people around so they can try it. And then we see him a little bit before, but then we're in the auction and just like things are rolling. Mateus is standing next to us. Haven't seen Diego for hours, probably. And then like halfway through the auction, we look to the left and Diego walks in with like a tray of coffees. And he's just like serving coffee out of nowhere.
You have to imagine like we hadn't seen him, like you said.
Yeah.
And there's like thousands of people
Yeah.
surrounding you. We're just sitting in like rows of tables where all the roasters are. And like from out of the sea of people, he emerges. You just look and, he's like serving everybody coffee. I laugh so hard.
Also, even just thinking about that, I don't even know how he got the coffee through, because to get through the crowd, you'll have to like push people
100%.
just by yourself. So he's coming with like a huge tray. I'm like,
I don't know. It was funny too because the whole time they have like servers. So it just shocked me. Like he was.
Yeah, especially like him being like he's this famous producer guy.
Yeah.
If you know him, like it makes sense. He's just a nice guy.
For sure.
Do that. But like not knowing who Diego is and seeing him and be like, that's like the famous producer.
Yeah.
And he's like serving everybody coffee. It's just like funny. It's kind of like you never would think of it.
It says a lot about his character.
Yeah.
I think.
He's such a good dude.
And he's being from there. Like he's serving people that he knows.
I can't imagine how like beautiful that moment was for him.
Yeah.
Like going back to his hometown. That was like there's so much story behind this auction that's really cool. And hopefully we can like do as good as we can to kind of bring people into that.
Yeah.
A lot of it just feels like, I don't know, you're like on the top of a mountain, like looking at that. And no matter how good of a camera you have, like it's never going to justify how you see that. That's kind of like what happened, I think, at this event. And, we're going to do as good as we can to like share that experience.
Yeah.
But before we go to the auction, I think something you brought up that would be cool to hear, it definitely was like cool for me, is just like Diego's a person and meeting him and, I won't go into the whole story about how I met him, but like I'm not a big celebrity person.
Yeah.
But I honestly, at the time before I met him, like he was probably like one of the people I'd want to meet the most, and I know it's like kind of that way for you too.
Yeah.
I don't. I know you like had heard so much about him. I don't know what your thoughts were about that, but like you meet somebody who's like that, and he's just so humble and approachable, and you'd never know he's as big a deal as he is.
Yeah.
And giving and honestly, I love what you said. Like the vibe, hanging out with it feels like I'm back in college. Just like you're with the boys, like cracking jokes. That is 100% the vibe.
Yeah.
Just want to hear your thoughts on it.
I think it's interesting because, like, for us, especially me and you, like, we were a multi-roaster for a long time, using places like Manhattan, who like Diego's like a lot of his coffees. They kind of like were the first people to get Letty Bermudez, which is like his most famous coffee. And so we've been drinking his coffee for what, 4.5 years at that point, and maybe almost 5 years. And then, like you had met him already, so like I knew him through that. Like you guys are friends, but like he's still this like famous person, who I know is like cool and fun through like what you've said, but like he's still like he's just this like guy that I know of.
Yeah.
And then we get there, and it's just like instantly like you're giving a hug and like hanging out.
Yep.
And he doesn't even speak English, like very little English.
Hey,
And-
man.
Yeah.
That's his like American
Just
impression.
just like, you know, making fun of Americans like you do when you're not from here, and he's just very, I mean, warm is like a really good word to use for him. He's just very kind and like treats you like you have been his friend for forever. And so I think for me it was more just like it takes down all your walls, I guess, because if you ever meet somebody famous, like you're kind of like, oh, this is like that guy. Even if you're not a big celebrity person, you're like, oh, this is like that famous person. And then you meet them, and I think oftentimes people are disappointed by meeting celebrities because maybe they're not as nice as they like want them to be, or like they didn't think it was going to be what they thought. And meeting Diego is like not like that. And he's not a celebrity, but he is like
in the specialty space.
Yeah, he's a huge name in our space.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think it's just like your walls get shut down instantly, and you're just like friends, and you can make jokes with him like you've known him forever. And you know, it's funny talking to him because he's speaking what little English he knows. He knows more English than I know Spanish, but it's not very much. Like you can't just like talk normally to him.
Sure.
And so you're like translating things through your phone or using like Mateus or somebody. But like it almost doesn't matter. Like you don't really have to know, because if you say a joke, Mateus translates the joke, and it's still just as funny as it was. And so I think like that's kind of the thing for me is like he just treats you like you're a homie. And like you said, it's like you're back in college or wherever, like hanging out with your friends, making jokes about whatever, you know. And I don't know, it's just good. I don't know what it was like for you, because for me, it's like I've known of his name forever, like 5 years.
I caught like the tail end of the multi-roaster native shop days. And I think not for as long, but was, you know, introduced to that kind of thing. Like, this guy's the real deal. He's, you know, pushing all these boundaries. He's like basically challenging what everyone's doing in the industry, and like kind of setting the path as far as like processing and coffee production. But maybe less of like I'm meeting my hero than you, obviously, because you were there for so long and building a relationship with him. But it was still really cool. Like, and I think being like you guys said already, just echoing that, like we felt like we were grafted into like his family. Yeah. And like his, like going in, we stayed a little bit at his house where we did the interview. His, I don't know if it's his mom or if it was Claudia's mom.
It was
Claudia's mom was there. His mother-in-law is like serving us. Like I got this like beautiful shot of her like getting out all these glasses for us, and they're like making us drip, and Diego's bringing out like those little guava candies. He's like, you guys gotta try these. These are like, everybody knows these here. And it's just sweet, like sitting around a table with him. Like with anybody who's known like that, there is that like kind of weird like celebrity kind of culture is the best way to put it, but he's just like not proud. Like he's a gentle dude, he's a humble dude, and he's just like he's a normal guy.
I think like I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but it's like his kindness like kind of forces that like celebrity thing to leave. You know, it's there when you first meet him, and you know, what's it gonna be like, and then but the way he acts, just like, and I love that about him. Like I've seen you go to like SEA or now Walk, and like in Asia, people are like shaking. Like, seriously, like,
Yeah.
and it's just so cool of him to be so chill. And I think as a separate note, like, coffee farmers are just people, like, just like other people here. You have like, no matter what they do, you have like people who are like ethical and kind and good, and you have people that aren't. And I think that's something that like isn't talked about enough in the context of like specialty coffee. And we want quality. Of course, we want quality, and we shouldn't sacrifice quality. But like, there are bad people who produce good coffee, like straight up. And
Name them. No, I'm just kidding.
no, we won't. We won't
I'm
name
just
them.
kidding.
But like, I think what's just really interesting and has really like formed a lot of the way, I think about coffee and like the direction that Native has gone is just because we happen to make, friendships with producers, and you don't hear about any of this stuff and corruption and all the stuff that happens behind closed doors, or just really at Origin, because you're not at Origin. And the people that know about that stuff, it's not in their interest to tell it, right? Like, some traders know about that stuff, green coffee traders, and then obviously the producers and the bad producers, like, but my point is speaking towards Diego, like, I've seen him walk through some like pretty messed up stuff from other producers, from green buyers, you name it, across the board. And it's been like really cool to see him respond with like kindness, and almost like he will still honor those people who straight up stole from him, who's massively like used him, really bad stuff. He will still honor them in the way he speaks and doesn't wish them harm. Like, he's a good person, and the kind of person who's like self-sacrificing, and wants to see other producers win, like thinks more collaboratively, which doesn't happen all the time. Like, his coffee farmers, some of it's very like secretive, or sometimes, or proprietary, which I understand some of that, but sometimes in maybe an unhealthy sort of way. So I think it's important, like, we somehow like got a gift of like getting to be friends with Diego, and everyone knows his coffee is so amazing, but it does make a difference. Like, it's different like drinking one of his coffees now, spending time with him, or like at Figuel Paraíso, he's named several of the Gesha thermal shocks like after his kids, and like we got to play with like Samu Bermudez.
Yeah.
Like, on a previous trip, I got to meet Letty and Luna, and it's just like, I'll never forget sitting in Popayan drinking Luna with 5-year-old Luna.
Yeah, that is
and Diego, and like that was just like a wild moment. Anyways, sidestep from that. We were just about to start talking about the auction. I think before we run out of this coffee, can you tell us what we're drinking?
Yeah. I mean, it's from the auction. It's 14th place. Christian Zuniga is the producer, which is Diego's cousin. He also works with El Preso. Churroso Natural. The notes we put on it are... sadly. It's okay. The notes we put on are blueberry, cherry, and champagne. It's got this like aftertaste of champagne. The finish really good.
Still clean though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but really good coffee. We actually had gotten it previously before the auction, like last year at some point. Didn't end up using it because it wasn't quite what we wanted. But this, when we tasted it at the cupping, really awesome.
Unbelievable.
We didn't know it was his coffee until
we did everything blind.
Yeah, until we got to the auction and realized it was his. And I mean, it was so good. I think it was underrated, to be honest. It probably should have been higher up. But it was the first coffee we bought, and it just happened to be Christian Diego's cousin, which was really fun.
That is fun.
And we met him there before the auction.
And the same coffee we had a year ago.
Yeah, exact same coffee. So
he's a really kind person.
He's also really kind.
Like that was another moment for me in, so his aunt is involved as an owner of one of the farms. We didn't know this, that won second place, which he also bought that coffee, and I think an impactful moment for me was that morning we got to have breakfast with Rosa Abuela, because
after the auction, the day after.
Yeah, and Christian's mom, and Christian was there, Diego was there. Just, I don't know, just beautiful. Like, I really like Latin American houses, like how they're open, and she had a bunch of like plants, and it was just like a beautiful place. And everyone is so kind. But that was really special. And I remember when we bought the Christian Zuniga Churrosa. His daughter was up on stage. She was probably like 6 or 7. Dude, just he's tearing up. It's hard to describe that.
It was before you got there, right?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Before you got there, Diego hadn't even come in with his tray yet. Like we just bought this coffee with Mateus, and then Christian's crying, and then not too long later, I don't know if you came in first or if Diego came in first, but either way, you came in, Diego came in, and then by the time Diego comes in like the second or third time with more coffee, is when we're getting closer to the end of the auction, which you're there by now. Yeah. And then, what happens when Diego comes in as we're bidding on coffees?
Oh, well, okay. If we go back, you asked like what were we expecting going on this. I honestly didn't even know. The first time Diego mentioned it, I thought I didn't think we'd actually be bidding on coffees. Like I thought that we were like behind the scenes helping like put the cupping on and like be a part of judging the coffees, which was true. But when we got there, we basically realized we would be bidding on these coffees, which is funny. And we knew we wanted that Christian Zuniga coffee, that Churroso. And we had talked about buying a few other coffees. We really liked the third place coffee, the Gesha, Wash Gesha. But Diego kind of walks up at the end of the auction, and like we all just, he's like whispering to Mateus, and Mateus is whispering to me.
They're getting all excited.
We basically on the fly decide we're going to sweep the floor and buy first, second, and third place, like at the tail end of this auction. And like we're all. I think it's important to know, like, Mateus, Diego, and I, we're all like, kind of like, we love vision, really high level brainstormers, just like serial entrepreneurs. Maybe like we struggle with details or stuff, but like point is when we're all hanging out, like it's business ideas left and right. Like we get energy from that. Like that's how it is all the time. So this is kind of like going on mid auction, all the craziness and the noise and the people that we talked about before, just like whispers about like, oh, we should buy like first, second, third. Oh, like the previous like highest price ever paid in a Colombian auction, I think it was like 136.
Something like that.
Yeah. So the idea is like we're gonna break it and go 137 and like launch these coffees. They're from Diego's hometown. The impact, like, and the whole collaborative project where we're giving back profits from this set, like it was made on the fly. We did it in this moment, which is like I love that. I love it. Super cool. So Diego comes in and we end up just bidding up second and third place. And then the last coffee, first place, everyone is like losing their minds.
At this point, all the horns and everything that were going off, they're cranked to the max. Also, it's just noise.
During this time, like Diego would come in sporadically and like he would bid on a coffee with us every once in a while, but he was being like in the best way, like a menace to. There's like
He
this
kept
South
bidding
Korean
up.
guy, especially that he kept bidding against.
I
He would just
know.
like stare at him and bid on the
He
coffee
was.
just to make this guy
Yeah.
bid more. And it's because he loves the people and wants these people to be paid. But it's just like funny. He's like intermittently just out of nowhere coming in and bidding, and then he'd like leave.
Yeah, brings trading coffees and then
Yeah,
bids.
yeah. And then like during the
He
last
did.
the last three is when he like stays for a while and is like
Yeah.
bidding with us
Yeah.
as a company. So, but we just like third came around and we just like started bidding on it, and
It was a good coffee.
we won. It's great coffee. And then second place. At this time, I'm like I know what's happening, but I'm like, are we?
I know it is. It is.
I'm like-
I remember actually like just pulling my phone out and doing like some calculations
math.
on the calculator. It's like, how much are we about to drop?
Yeah.
But that was a magical moment.
Yeah.
Honestly, just like can't believe.
Also, we should add your dad is there.
Yes.
Who is like your visionary, like
Yes.
big ideas, like let's do all this stuff, and your dad is like the polar opposite.
Yeah.
Money. He's our money guy. He's
Bookkeeper.
yeah, like very practical.
You know,
like
administrative.
Likes
how
money
are
in
we
the
gonna do
bank.
this thing?
Yeah.
And so he's there, like probably the most he's been out of his comfort zone.
I
Maybe
actually I knew he would hate bidding, but I was like, I'm not gonna let my dad come to this
Yeah.
event and not bid.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
made him bid, and it did make him feel
He-
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think he kind of liked it though. a
Well, I'm
little bit.
glad. We talked about it since, and he's glad that I made him. But
Good,
Yeah.
good.
It
He
was
was eating it up. We were both just like,
it was a shock.
It was unbelievable. It really
Yeah.
was.
And I feel like I cut you off.
No, you're good.
I think it. You picture an auction. If you've never been to one or heard of a coffee auction, like, again, just a difficult thing to describe. I'm sure
Yeah.
each one of them is different too. But like my grid for what an auction looks like, not coffee auction, just auction in general, is like pretty quiet. You're like
Yeah.
in some sort of like large kind of museum looking space with, it's very refined, people wearing suits and
One
like,
off,
Yeah.
just kind of
And-
like doing the thing.
it is not like that. This event is completely different. Like everyone is loud, like for 7 hours. Like I think we have let me
yeah,
do this.
get
Like,
the paddle.
just- we kept our paddle as a memento. Subasta por la paz. And yeah, just like it is insane. Like it is loud and chanting and crying and laughing and
Yeah, I mean, you would think these people are at like a sports event, like World Cup, like the way they're cheering is
Yeah.
like they're watching Colombia compete at the final of the World Cup.
the
Right.
energy, like that's an interesting comparison. Like I'm trying to think of other moments that like had as intense energy. The only thing I can think of is like a Stanley Cup game that I went to.
Yeah,
Like a Dallas Stars
some
game?
big sports event that like you would expect people to cheer.
It was electric,
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was also like emotional
yeah,
and
it
in a
was-
good way.
It was
Like,
crazy.
Yeah.
but insane, So we end up buying for second, third place.
Yeah,
And just on the fly, first place was a pink bourbon, red bourbon,
Red
a
Bourbon
red
first
bourbon
place.
washed.
which was shocking. That nobody thought it was.
Everybody, like all of the roasters, when we did a blind, everyone thought the first top 3 coffees were geishas.
Yeah.
But only third place was.
Mhm.
The second place coffee was a pink bourbon washed, and the third was a geisha washed. And just like beautifully expressive, elegant, like really complex, beautiful
Yeah.
coffees.
Third place does not taste like a geisha to me.
Yeah.
It's probably the best geisha I've ever had
Yeah.
because it's not like I don't tend to love these like florals. I like them enough, but like the standard geisha profile is not like my
That's
favorite
not your
thing.
favorite.
I
It's
like
my
it,
favorite.
Yeah, but this one is like much different. I
Yeah,
mean,
it
we
is.
put orange creamsicle on the notes
It is, man.
because it's like this really sweet
Orange
creamy
Julius.
orange,
Yeah.
orange thing going on, which is just not a typical geisha.
Yeah.
but it's really great.
Yeah.
but they all have like unique things about them, I think. But I think the third place was really our favorite. It just so happens we ended up getting it, roasting it for the box too, which is kind of fun. We didn't really expect that, but
Yeah, it's hard to find. Like, there's a lot of great wash geishas out there
For sure.
that are just clean and floral and beautiful. Yeah, sign me up. That's what I want to drink every day, honestly. This one had like a lot more fruit present.
Yeah.
But it changed a lot as it cooled. I feel like the Gesha components or characteristics really came out as it cooled. But it just like took you on a journey.
Yeah.
And super aromatic. Just really, really beautiful coffees. But it is insane, like, you know, you look at where Native was, you know, like we start on like, we were a multi-roaster and never thought we'd roast like manager pitches, like, hey, let's learn how to roast on bullets, like tiny kind of home roasters, basically, that are roasting like a kg at a time. And we actually like got good coffee to then be kind of thrust in this moment. I don't know. It was just like magical. Like I never thought that would happen. I remember we buy first place, and so like they have our whole team go up on stage. They like blow up confetti everywhere.
Silver confetti cannons.
Like
everyone's going crazy.
Jorgelina is up on the stage. Everyone is super
She
hyped.
has like a whole mob of
It's
family,
her whole
friends.
probably 20 people.
Yeah,
like,
a lot of people.
Even other producers, I think, too.
Yeah,
that
like just
participated.
friends, I think.
Support.
Yeah.
it, and just like one like special moment that I like to kind of tuck in my pocket and think about it once in a while. You know, Diego comes up on stage and he, you know, I kind of pause and sidestep. I'm still trying to learn Spanish and haven't gotten super deep into the Spanish game yet. So on these trips when I would take, you know, when I'm saying bye, I just want to say like, hey, I love you, man. You know, so te amo, amigo. And I learned on these trips, like, you know, there's te amo and there's te quiero. And they have different contexts. Like you wouldn't say te amo traditionally, like to your guy, your bro. It's more of like an intimate way to say that, you know? So, so you'd say it to your wife, to your family members, to, you know, those sort of situations. Te quiero is like, I love you, man. Like, still impactful, but like you would use it more normal. And so he would, you know, when we would go on these cupping tours or travel to Colombia or whatever, te quiero, amigo, like that was normal. Up on the stage, in the moment, you know, I give him a hug and he gives me a te amo, amigo. And like, I because he explained all that previously, like it hit hard.
That's like years of context.
Yeah. It was just like, you know, like family. Like, this like really beautiful moment for him in the town that he grew up in, like seeing all this unfold. Super, super special.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool. But that is like the end of the auction. We get off stage, they kind of like finish up by saying like that's the end, whatever, and then we're just like basically we're done. We kind of have a little bit of a separate experience because we had Diego and Mateus who like we just were with them. And so we like, you know, stay the night again. And then most everybody else is later the next day, take the bus back and do whatever. But you mentioned before, we leave the auction, stay the night. And then that morning, we had plans to like leave super early to get back because we were going to go to the roastery and where Diego lives and stuff and hang out. We go to Diego's aunts, who you mentioned, and Christian Zuniga. It's his mom. Rosalora. And we have breakfast with them, which we didn't really expect. Like, we're going to go there. We did film some interviews, which we, like, last minute kind of planned with them because we didn't know we were going to buy their coffees, and then we did. And then filmed some really cool interviews with which nobody else got to experience, which I wish they did, but, like, it's just not possible. But that kind of marks the end of our auction journey. Our trip goes a little bit longer, but the auction kind of ends right there on a really, probably the highest note you can. Yeah. Which is really crazy. I don't know. I feel like we got to experience, buying the first place coffee was very cool and like we experienced something that other people didn't. But I think the breakfast the next morning really kind of was kind of like the high points of the end of that auction journey that I feel like everybody else did not get the luxury to experience.
Mm.
I think they missed out, not by their own fault, but they just like missed out on that really special experience.
I think this is like it shaped a lot of me as a person and just like why I want to work in coffee. I don't really know why or how we ended up meeting Diego and making these friendships. Like, I'm definitely not qualified in the way that they are, and like I don't know how that happened or like why Diego wanted to work together, but I'm thankful, and it's like afforded us a really unique opportunity outside of like selling coffee and building a business. I feel like a lot of what motivates us is kind of what you just said. Like, it's a different experience. Like, everyone loves drinking an amazing coffee, but getting to like sit down and break bread and spend an afternoon with the producer that made it and like see, it's a lot of work. Like, on a previous trip to one of the Hachi farms, Diego Mateus like let us harvest a varietal they named Tina Baru, which was like a mutated geisha. Geishas are supposed to be like red cherries, but it had mutated with the land, and it was producing these orange cherries and was making unbelievable coffee. And we spent an hour picking cherries and just like throwing them in our bucket with like trees that are taller than we are, just like lost on the like on the side of a mountain, like. And you're huffing and puffing, and we weighed all of the coffee as far as volume, that all four of us, and we had 5 kg of cherries, which they told us would equate to about a little less than 1 kg of roasted coffee at the end of the day. And that was like an hour, and you have like, dude, there's like women and children like hiking up these mountains, like doing dozens of like kg of coffee every day. And that's like just the first part, and then all the quality checkpoints and the processing and like making sure defects are like sorted out of this. Like, it's just an interesting experience seeing that whole process. And it's really difficult, and I think like a lot of what we try to do here is like think of like, okay, not everybody can have that experience. Like, we can't take all of our customers to there, although I would love to do that. Like, is it even possible? Like, how can we try to like distill those moments and like what was important about them, and try to like repackage them in a real way to our customers? And we spend, I think, most of our time trying to think about how to do that. Obviously, like, the coffee needs to be good, quality is going to be high, but the next part is like, okay, forget just telling the producer's story. Hey, this is Diego, this is kind of a paragraph about him. Like, okay, let's go a little bit deeper, and like, let's do like a mini doc on each producer we work with, and give them a stage to say whatever they want, and whatever they're comfortable with saying. But let's talk about the stuff that never leaves origin. Like, do you feel respected by the people that buy your coffee? Like, are you treated well? Like, what is working and what is not working for producers, that things that we don't think about. And largely, I don't think that has ever like been shared, and obviously we would never share content that producers aren't comfortable with sharing. I could imagine producers not willing to say certain things because they're some of their clients,
or it could put them, like, if they say the wrong thing about the cartel and it somehow gets to them, like, that could put their lives in danger.
Yeah, you have anything from like cartel and like the danger side of that to a massive problem that no one is talking about in coffee right now is you have roasters, specialty roasters, agreeing to like pay for green in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and like for 2 years not paying. and doing it intentionally because they know that like they're not going to get sued because producers don't have the money to like hire a lawyer. So like this is happening, and it's not like all roasters by any means. And you know, it's interesting. I talked about like Diego and Mateus's character through this. I've just seen them like, I think everyone, you know, Diego is a baller in a lot of ways, but kind of restarting with Hachi has been a humble experience. And he's producing some of the best coffee in the world, mainly just using his background as a physicist and learning about like biochem, you know, biochemistry and how fermentation works. And just simple practices of even growing the coffee in the soil and making sure the nutrients of the cherries are there. That's what makes good coffee. Hey, thanks for listening. We were just talking about some problems that producers have in the industry, some corruption that occurs too, and really just how we want to expose some of this. A lot of these stories, they stay at origin and nobody hears about them on the consuming side. So we want to be a part of making a path for those stories to be heard and to help being a part of remedying some of these problems. Our cameras ran out of battery. So we continued a conversation for about 30 extra minutes, which is not included here, but we will be discussing this more on the podcast. Another important thing, we got kind of carried away in conversation, and you know, this whole podcast was really talking about our experience behind the scene, going to Bolivar for the auction, and us buying first, second, and third place. So we forgot that we didn't really even talk about the product that we're releasing. We are doing a combined collaborative set with Hydrangea, September, and ourselves for first, second, and third place. And all of the proceeds, the profits, 100% of them will go back to the producers in Bolivar, where we bought these coffees. We will be buying a year's worth of fertilizer for at least 18 producers in Bolivar. And you know, just a really cool story, cool project. I think just in general, there's not enough collaboration in our industry, at least in our opinion, kind of across the entire industry, but with roasters. And we're all passionate and care for producers and wanting to do the same thing in our own worlds. So this is a big project for us and the start of something we want to do continually with other roasters and other companies. So this specific set, you get 60 grams in single dose cassettes. I'll show in 15 gram single doses. You get 60 grams of each coffee, and first, second, and third place was all roasted by each one of us. So first place was September, second Hydrangea, and third place was Native. So really fun idea. Everything will be really fresh and has been sent all over to all of our roasteries, sent back and immediately vac sealed to keep everything from oxidating, so everything is tasting peak. So we have a limited amount of these sets, so grab some before they disappear off the shelves and be a part of the story. Thanks.